Are you ready?
Hey everybody, welcome. The Art of Comics, the channel that we talk about comic books, graphic novels, sequential art of all types, illustration, cool stuff, basically. Books. We talk about books. I'm your host, Andres Jose. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for joining me, taking your time to be with me in my palatial studio. We're going to do some comics. Today we're going to do this big old beast set of books. Prince Valiant biscuits. We're doing Prince Valiant. We're doing Hal Foster's magnificent magnum opus, freaking milestone. This is the book that brought so many people into comics. This is the big tome that spanned decades that everyone refers to. There's a reason why people love Hal Foster. Well, they love Prince Valiant. They love the draftsmanship. They love the costuming. They love the storytelling. This brought comics to that illustration level, to that, it's just amazing work. And it holds up. We're talking about stuff that was done in the 30s and 40s, holding up. We're talking about stuff that inspired, Wally Wood, like all those greats that you think of. They're looking to this guy, okay? They're looking to this guy. Brilliant stuff. These are massive tomes. Let me show you a little bit what I got here. So we've got the first three that came in this nice little slipcase. This is done by Fantagraphics. Fantagraphics, you guys know how to do some books, okay? Eric Reynolds. Sorry, my eye's bugging the crap out of me, and I'm not gonna edit that. Just suck it up. This was $100 for these three. I think I got it on like the Black Friday sale or the Christmas sale, significantly discounted. It's just kind of nice, the little like slip case. But these books are brilliant. I've got 1, 2, and 3, and they each retail around $35 each. They're brilliant. And then I went and I got these other ones here on Thrift Books. Have you ever been to Thrift Books? Go check out Thrift Books, guys. It is basically used books. It's kind of like what Amazon used to be back in the day, but it's used books that a lot of times come from like libraries and things like that. So they're more reader copies, but you can find cool stuff. So I got this one. This is volume, what is it, volume 4? I think this is 4. Could be wrong. Volume 12, they tell you right now. This is 12. Oh, this is 4, yeah. So I got volume 4 and 12, and some of them, actually, this one's actually pretty good quality. This one is definitely like the library, right? And so this one's a little bit more beat up a bit, but who cares? I mean, it was like $10, right? And for something that goes for 35, get it for 10, not a bad deal. I've read all of the first volume, half of second volume, so I haven't even finished all these. And because they're kind of these, there's a long story, of course, but he does a good job of making them kind of episodic. So you can just, skip around. So I'm going to read 12, right, without reading the ones in between. So that's okay. Why don't I show you guys how great this is? And I love the page size. We'll measure all that and we'll check all this out. Let's flip the camera over. Look at this book here. Let's do it. Okay, guys, I've been holding back on this one. I've had this review in my pocket, waiting to share with you for a while now. And it's just that it's one of those things where I've been wanting to find the right time. And first off, I really love the presentation of this. I just find it super fun. I have to zoom out my camera even more because this thing is so big. How big is it? Well, it's a good, what is this, 14 by 10, right? So big ass pages. Now the originals are even bigger. I met this guy in LA once. He was a big art collector, and he had Rosetta and Toth and everything, and he had some Prince Valiant. I was in my early 20s, and I didn't understand the power of that until now. And I'm like, oh, I wish I knew. Well, I wish I had his number. I would love to go back and see his stuff now. But at the time, I was just like, oh, I like Jim Lee. You know, I didn't really get it. But this is a beautiful design. I love the backing. I love this kind of fabric there. And, you know, they could have had some design here, but I don't mind the just cleanliness of it. And then isn't this beautiful? And they got kind of a gold, a little bit of a gold print right there. This is beautiful. This is the kind of stuff that he was just great at. Again, the costuming, the just the right amount of detail and kind of feathering in and creating values with these lines. Just the right amount. Not too much, but just really well. As far as the draftsmanship. Look at these great drop shadows and stuff in here. It's really, really well done. And this book is full of this. Now you're going to notice in the first couple pages, in the first bit, it is rougher than as you go on. And I'd say volume 2 is even better art. And then I think he gets up to a level and then he kind of like stays at that level. But really fascinating character. He was he had a lot of adventures in his life as a young boy. I think he lived in Manitoba and Canada. Just really interesting guy. Traveled a lot. Done a lot of research. Did some Tarzan for a bit. And actually, I read this a while back. He talked about doing some Tarzan work, and he got some frustrations on that and started this project, and it just kind of like took off, and he kept doing it. I mean, we talk about inspired. Yeah. Let me just list the inspirations, you guys, of people who know Prince Valiant, people who like this. Now, some of you younger kids, you might be like, Prince Valiant, this is old, this is like, it's not cool, it's not hip, it's not Image Comics or whatever, Boom, IDW. You know what, guys? If you want to learn about the art form of comics, you got to know the history. You got to know where it's coming from. You got to know the roots of the tree, okay? You got to know how all this plays out. And you got to be able to appreciate what this does. So when you talk about Toth and some of these giants, you got to talk about him too. Let me break this down. Jack Kirby, Lou Fine, Frank Frazetta, Al Williamson, Wayne Boring, Joe Kubert, Russ Manning, Frank Thorne, Dave Stevens, Charles Vess, William Stout, Mark Schultz, okay? Even Carl Barks, who did freaking Donald Duck, says that he keeps this as a reference, They interview him. And actually, these are some really nice interviews. That's another good thing that, Fantagraphics really tries to add a literary kind of criticism and element to their products. They're not just making funny books. They're making like good books, art. Beautiful drawing. So that's that interview. Let's just get into it, dude. So this is the very first one. This is him. This is the story of, it's around that King Arthur time. This is Prince Valiant. So it's the same time as the Round Table, Merlin, all that. And it starts off with him and his father, the King of Thule, okay? And how that all happened. So we go into the Britons, the savageness of the Britain island and everything. But just look at the first freaking panel. Let's just talk about this first panel. The lettering is just very neutral, and that's fine. Notice there's no borders. There's no boxes. Just kind of goes in the art places. But I love the way the colored in, how it just kind of colors into the rock and just kind of dissolves out. And look at these shadows. Just really cool, great stuff that I'm a really, really big fan of. So I just love that book. And then look at this stuff. I mean, just everything is so good. This is the first pages. He's a good kid. Now some of this, I don't know if it's the plates. It's a little bit fuzzy. But look at these great bodies, these just great little like battles and stuff, and each position, and you get some male butts here, and and what's great too is you get a little blurb of like what's happening, right? The king is an exile choice, blah blah. That's kind of nice. All this stuff is great, and the coloring is wonderful too. I was just amazed. I mean, you might think like, oh, it's kind of old style or whatever, but it's so classic, and the positioning of the figures in frame, showing space and depth is great. I mean, that's what illustration is, right? It's putting figures in space, and you get that sense of space, and it's not all the same shot. You got overhead shots, you got this shot, you got a front on, you got back here, and so it's just very dynamic. It really is well done. So this first story is basically, Prince Valiant's a small child or a young boy, and he, is in this kind of swampy area where his family or his tribe kind of like landed. He learns some skills, and we see right off the bat how he's skilled at fighting. Look at this. That's great. I love this. That's another great thing is he really researches and comes up with these devices and things that are period. It's really kind of brilliant. He wants to be a knight. Great on vegetation too. I mean, all this stuff is really neat. There's a kind of a horror kind of element too, where he meets this kind of monster, but it's really this man in rags, and he meets the mother who's a witch. He saves the man though, which kind of helps him with the witch. The witch does prophesy that he'll be sad and he'll be brokenhearted in his life, which we'll see later on as he has some problems with the fairer sex. And this is great because now we're getting into like the knights, and so now here in the days of King Arthur, he meets Sir Lancelot. So we're starting to enter that world too. But now I don't know the Prince Valiant. I'm assuming the Prince Valiant haircut is from this. I don't know that though. Maybe it came before. It could actually be called that from like back then. So I don't know, but he definitely has that haircut. It's kind of cool, not old school. I don't know if you can rock it nowadays, but it's kind of neat. It's some great. Maybe not the best in horses, but you know what? Pretty damn good. This is where he's like taming a stallion. So each of these was a day, like a Sunday or something that they came out, and they're dated. So each of these would come out, and it'd be a full page in the newspaper. That'd be the page. And so he'd have a week, basically, to bust this out. And so he'd have that week to bust out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 9 to 10, 12, maybe panels. And that would be the job. And he would just kind of do that. Look at this stuff. It's so good. It's really is good, man. This alligator battle he does. Yeah. And he meets this knight, Sir Gawain. I'm going to pronunciate it Gawain. He's great. Gawain is awesome. They become buds. Look at this castle. Isn't that great? Love that, man. We could sit here and go on forever. Look at this. Another great image. So I hope you're getting the idea of what. Look at the little like key light there too. Great illustrator. Actually, really fun stories. I spent a Sunday and just like read this one, and then I spent another Sunday reading half of the other one, and they're just fun. It does get a little bit tiresome. I couldn't just read like 1 through 3 in a sitting because of the type of comic it is and the way each story is like a page. It can get a little tedious. I can see how that can kind of set in, the kind of tedium of, reading this kind of adventure story. So I can get that. But I think, you know, every now and then you pop in and you read for 20 minutes of Prince Valiant. Really cool. And if you were doing a story set in this time, I think this would be a great resource. A great resource to kind of like get some costuming ideas and get some kind of like some things. This is a great story where he dresses up as this creature to kind of like save them. Look at this. He's really playing with the panel, really playing with the composition of the page. Really kind of neat. Yeah, really great stuff. I'll flip over to 2 as well, just to show you 2, but I think it's pretty much the same. It keeps on going. Let me look at 2. Here's 2. Each of these, though, are just, love these books. I won't do 3 because I haven't read 3 yet. I don't want to spoil it. Those are green, the other one's brown. Same thing here. Oh, this was the article talking about cartoons versus illustrations and things like that. It's kind of an interesting idea. Great battle scenes. I mean, because the originals are so much bigger, they're probably closer to this size, probably 18 by 24, I think. Something like that. So he had a lot of space to kind of go in here and draw this out, which helps. I love this panel, by the way. One of my favorite panels of his book. I just love that. Those blacks. This is just wonderful battles. They were like fighting the Gauls or something like that. I can't remember. Or the Saxons. These invaders were coming in, and so they had to work together. And look at this. You see this. This looks like a Frazetta, like... Frazetta did some big war battle kind of like composition, so this reminds me of some of that. But also, remember, dude, this was back in the 30s. When was this? What date is this? This is 39. This is 39. And look at this design and stuff. Just really great. You know, and it bleeds off and the shadows out. Silhouettes. Here, just no panel borders, just kind of like a montage, basically, a little musical montage. And this is the love story. This is part of a little bit of a love triangle going on here. Kind of interesting. And here's where he's bored because he's solved all the wars, so he's like kicking back, nothing to do, just chilling. Girls are up on his jock, and he's like, what am I gonna do? I'm bored. I want to go adventures. He just goes off in the woods and just finds some crazy witch chick. And look at this. I love this too. Can you guys see this? Oh, it's so good. Big fan of all this, man. So yeah, I could sit here for like 50 hours and just share each page, but at that point, just find a scan of it if you don't want to buy it. Great book. This Prince Valiant, you know, I can't overstate the importance of something like this in pop culture and kind of inspiring a lot of the current artists, or definitely the older artists that are still around. Just brilliant stuff. Highly recommend getting it, taking a look at it. It's fun stories. It's just a good freaking comic. There you go. So that's the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.